Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrikster, here to bring you some more Pokemon Go GBL battles. These battles are played in Kanto Cup because we have Kanto Cup again. Because that's what people voted for. They let us decide. They let us vote on Twitter. Apparently, this is what we wanted. I wanted Little Cup or Retro Cup. Like, Little Cup we only played once. Retro Cup we only played once, I think. And that meta was pretty cool. I think maybe that was the meta that was pretty toxic, actually. You know what? I don't remember what the meta was. I do remember that it wasn't Kanto Cup, which we have had 4 times. This is the 4th time we have Kanto Cup. I am using my Kanto Cup team. This is my classic Kanto Cup team. It was the team that I used in Season 5. It was the one that I started using in Season 5 from the very beginning, and I used it for the entire Kanto Cup. During that time, I hit number 1 on the leaderboard with it during that time, and was in the top 20, I think, almost every single day of it for like that week or 2 weeks, however long we had it. So I know for a fact that this team was very strong then, and I used it the last time and the time before that. Every time we've had Kanto Cup, I have, at some point or another, used this team. And it has served me well in every single iteration. So, changes to the Kanto Cup now? Well, Nidoqueen exists. And more people have XL Lickitung, and XL Chansey exists. Alolan Sandslash, my lead, is very strong against all of those things. My backline is pretty good against all of those things. Wigglytuff obviously cannot hang with Nidoqueen, but the other things, yes, fine, no problem at all. So, as much as my team may have made sense before, a lot of the things that it was weak to, like Shadow Machamp openings, are a lot less common because there's more Nidoqueen openings. And Nidoqueen is pretty strong against Shadow Machamp. So, and yeah, I guess the addition of those Pokemon, like the prevalence of Lickitung, also kind of makes Alolan Marowak less common. And Alolan Marowak used to be a thing that my team had difficulty with. So yeah, a lot of the threats to my team have kind of been marginalized a little bit. So it definitely seems to me like it should be stronger than it used to be, and it was already pretty strong. So I'm gonna jump in on this match, right? Sandslash into well, I guess I'll just cover this Lapras matchup. So I run Water Gun on my Lapras. The original reason was because I didn't want to spend the Elite Charge TM, or the Elite Fast TM. I didn't have a lot of them, and you know, as I've been using this Lapras with this team, I have found that actually you want Water Gun Lapras when you're running my team, because even though fire's not super common, you still need the fire coverage that Water Gun provides. And it also enables you to win the Lapras Mirror. Even though opposing Lapras will reach Skull Bash faster, Water Gun puts on so much more fast move pressure because it's only single resisted versus Ice Shard, which is double resisted and hits very, very slowly. So a lot of times, because of that fast move pressure, because you are actually doing some fast move damage, you can throw, you know, your charge moves at the right time to kind of get an edge over on the opposing Lapras. Like, even though they'll reach the Skull Bash first, and will therefore take a resisted, or you know, their defense will be buffed by the time they take the Skull Bash, you still can like DPS them down just because Water Gun does so much more damage, and it's only slightly slower. So my opponent ended up saving their last shield for a Lickitung that they had in the back, and that is fine. You can see here that Lickitung into Wigglytuff is not really amazing for the Lickitung. Like, Wigglytuff can survive 3 body slams, but will actually get licked down after that. My Wigglytuff is, I think, a rank 7 or something like that, 6 or 7, 8 maybe. So has very good IVs, so it's possible that some other Wigglytuffs that have less optimal IVs might not survive this 3rd body slam, but I mean, mine does. I don't know. A rank 1 would probably even survive those last licks, be able to charm down safely. But that's alright, I'm just going to swap out into Alolan Sandslash, and Alolan Sandslash is a pretty good wall to Lickitung's energy. I'm just going to throw this body slam here. A little bit of BM because my opponent is still staying in this whole time. Could have left and saved his poor injured Lickitung. There was no reason to leave it in there to faint. But, yeah, I'm going to take that game. That's GG. Alright. Next up against Sayu. Sandslash into Lapras. So this is not a great lead. Obviously, it's not terrible because the Lapras has Ice Shard, and if it had Water Gun, then it would be quite bad. I'm going to switch out at 6 Ice Shards and actually manage to catch a Surf. That is kind of lucky. But I'll take that, and there is a Poliwrath in the back, which is pretty unlucky, so I guess I'll take that too. They're going to throw their energy right away as soon as they have it, so I'm just going to let the Dynamic Punch go. No reason to try to shield that. Poliwrath will obviously, you can see, easily outpace Lapras if I'm going straight Skull Bash, and I mean, I would barely outpace if I double baited. Excuse me. So really not worth the risk. I'm going to throw this Bulldoze as soon as I have it. I think this Poliwrath just got to its Dynamic Punch, but they're going to no-shield that, I guess, maybe not believing me that I was actually there. And now Machamp is going to come out, and they're staying in against Wigglytuff because they have to. Their switch timer was not up yet. Our switch timers were a little bit desynced because I caught that charge move on Lapras. So because of that, they were locked in against this Wigglytuff, and I got to land those 4 charms, and those 4 charms did almost all of Machamp's health. So now this is fine. All I need to do is take out this Lapras. I can do that by any means possible. I can use my shields here if I have to. Like, I just need to be able to get like a Powder Snow out against Machamp. My opponent tried to let me charm them most of the way down so that I wouldn't get any farm with Sand Slash, but that they really didn't have to worry about that. I mean, if they still had a shield left over, they could have just taken down my Wigglytuff, and they're pretty sure they would have had a much better time in that game. But, you know, sometimes you make miscalculations in the heat of battle, and that is a GG. All right, Alolan Muck in the lead. They're going to swap out right away to Machamp. So I was definitely seeing this and very concerned that this might be a double counter team, double fighter team, like Amok double fighter. And I'm sure they saw this Wigglytuff counter swap and were probably very concerned that this would be Sand Slash double charm, which is not a thing that I've seen anyone doing, but, you know, makes some sense anyway. I don't know what you would do against fire. But gonna bring Sand Slash back out, and I'm gonna try to build up some excess energy. I was trying to throw this before Muck got to his move, but this is actually like a desync CMP, I guess, so I'm gonna end up shielding the Dark Pulse, because if there is another counter user in the back, I don't really need energy, I don't really need shields, need health, so I'm gonna get the last shield off of them with that Ice Punch, and that is a good thing because I am quite sure that the Surf will do more damage. I really needed that shield. So I'm going to shield this, and it turns out to be a Night Slash. It could technically have been a Cross Chop. Cross Chop is a legacy move for Primeape, but both Cross Chop and Night Slash are 5 counters, so, you know, could have been that. I'm going to land that Surf and just manage to Water Gun down Primeape, and Muck is going to come back out. It was Energy Dry before. It's going to be able to reach its move right before I do. Or perhaps it's just winning CMP. I think that's what it is. So I'm going to eat this Dark Pulse, and that's going to just barely take me out. And I'm going to bring Sand Slash back in, and they reach their Dark Pulse, but get Powder Snow down. So just barely managed to take that game. But yeah, Alolan Muck double fighter. My team is pretty weak against fighters, but I did just manage to take out 2 of them. So I will take that. That is a GG. All right, Sand Slash into Beedrill. So I desync a little bit, so I'm a turn behind. I should really let them throw first, but I decided that I would throw my Ice Punch first in case I felt like letting the move through, but then I decided, you know what, forget it, I'm going to shield it anyway. You know, if I get baited, I get baited, but I'll clearly outpace anyway. And then my opponent switches into his own Sand Slash, so that's fine. I should have stayed in with my Sand Slash longer and built up some energy before switching out. Like, that would have been helpful. But I'm just going to bring Lapras out. And now I'm going to throw this Surf before he reaches his next Bulldoze. Because I don't really want to shield that. I want to be left with some health. And I already have some energy, so I'm pretty close to a Surf. Going to throw that as soon as I reach it. And I get the last shield off of Beedrill. So these Poison Jabs are kind of chunking. I could shield here and throw my Surf and take him out, but it just doesn't seem necessary. They're going to throw their X's. They have a little bit of residual energy, but really not that much. I could... It probably would have made sense to just shield once and farm the whole way down and be left with a bunch of energy, but I opted to just throw the Ice Punch and save my shield, and that was a bad move because there isn't a Kanto Ninetales on the back. And Fire was the one thing that my 2 remaining Pokemon share a weakness to. Just in that, you know, the charms are hitting for resisted, and I am going to get out spammed by this Ninetales. I decide to no shield the first move, and I'm able to sneak in a charm when they throw the second one, so I am going to shield this one. It's 3.5 fire spins to the Weather Ball, so because I was able to sneak in a charm, I'm going to reach this Ice Beam 1 charm before they reach their third Weather Ball, and that is going to get them low enough that I can just kind of charm them down. At that point, they had to farm me the whole way down, and it wasn't going to happen, so I managed to take that game. That's a GG. But that was close. Definitely could have played that particular matchup a lot cleaner. Staying in a little bit longer, building up some more energy on my Sandslash because, you know, even Shadow Lapras, you could see, would be able to survive 2 Bulldozes. But, all right, take that for a very clean 5 out of 5. I'm going to go back up to 3300s. And, yeah, let's hop into this next set. Next up against Pants Pasta. All right. So, Lickitung in the lead. This is, like, I guess it's like a slightly positive lead. Like, you could look at this in a couple different ways. Like, if I start taking this into the multi-shield, it starts to become better for Lickitung. Just because, you know, the licks do more damage. So there's more fast move damage being done than I am with my Powder Snow. Sandslash will actually win the zeros. So, I'm trying to just no shield and hope that they no shield also so that I can win, switch, and not even have that much health left over. Like, I have to make decisions here at this point. I would have to shield this body slam if I wanted to take it into the multi-shield. So, you know, the decision on whether we take it into the multi-shield is kind of on me. I'm going to throw this Ice Punch, and they decide to shield, and at that point, they've won switch. Like, I'm not going to be able to reach this Ice Punch. Maybe if my Sandslash had really good IVs, mine is only a rank, like, I don't know, 100 and something or so. Like, it's not amazing, but it's pretty decent. It's an upgrade from the rank 620 that I used to use back in the day. But, yeah, I'm going to bring Wigglytuff out. This Lickitung had lots of excess energy because I had been farmed down, or because my Sandslash has been farmed down. So I end up having to eat that damage, and yeah, there is a Nidoqueen in the back. So that is rough for Wigglytuff. I'm going to switch out into Lapras, and there's a Chansey back there. So, XL Chansey is kind of a new thing for this iteration of Kanto Cup. There obviously was none of that back before XL existed. I think maybe I saw one Chansey like a long time ago, but it just wasn't that good because it didn't have the bulk yet. Now that it gets a lot bigger, this one's at 1418, I think that's the hundo. And I think that's at level 51. I think. Don't quote me on that. I might be way off. Gonna land those Skull Bashes, and I had opted to shield the first move, did I? Yeah, I had shielded the first move because, you know, didn't want to get Hyper Beamed, and it turned out to be a Psychic, and I think they got the debuff, if I'm remembering properly, so that was kind of rough. They're going to shield the Surf, and that is fine with me, so I'm going to shield this. It should be a Hyper Beam, and it is. Nidoqueen is going to come out, and I am not going to throw... Well, I'm going to try to throw my Surf, but they're going to reach the Poison Fang before I get there, and I'm just barely able to reach the Surf before I get taken out. My Lapras is very low, but I'm going to switch out to preserve it because it would still survive a couple of slaps. Oh no, never mind. I had actually finished water gunning down the Nidoqueen because that felt safe. Okay, and then I just charmed down Chansey. All right, well that's how I wrapped up that game. That makes sense also. All right, that's a GG. Okay, next up against Rixuyua. Rixuyuya? I don't know. That was different. I shouldn't have even tried that. That was hard. Okay, Alolan Marowak in the lead. This is a pretty difficult lead for my team to deal with. I'm going to switch into Wigglytuff, and they're going to stay in. Looks like we had some nice lag. I saw both of our health bars decrease, so both of us clearly took additional damage, but I am not really sure of the counts or if I got any kind of advantage there. And then they're going to switch out into Lickitung, which I'm fine with. I'm going to throw the Ice Beam here, which is kind of dumb. Probably should have just thrown the Play Rough. It would have done more damage if they decided to no shield. I was just pretty confident that they were going to shield, and then they didn't. So, yeah, that was surprising. So, going to end up no shielding the first Body Slam. Even if that had been a Power Whip, it wouldn't have KO'd, and I am going to have to shield this Body Slam because I would very much like alignment so I can get my Shadow Lapras with Water Gun lined up with this Alolan Marowak. So, I'm going to be able to reach this Play Rough here. Because I had baited Ice Beam before, I guess. And it is going to do not that much damage anyway. And now I'm going to bring Lapras out. They're going to switch out right away into an Electrode, and I'm going to stay in for a bit because I need this fast move damage. I switch out to try to make a catch, and I actually do. But, like, Electrode would have thrown that discharge anyway, so, you know, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to throw this Ice Punch as soon as I've got it. Managed to deny a Volt Switch this time, so that helps. And I'm going to get a Shield. So I've already decided that I'm going to shield the next Volt Switch that comes, or the next discharge that comes out. Because I will be able to outpace. I'm going to throw this Ice Punch here, and they managed to sneak in a Volt Switch. That puts them one ahead, but, like, so they could have thrown their discharge there and taken me out, but I guess they didn't want to get farmed down with Lapras, so I'm going to be able to reach this Ice Punch and take them out anyway, and then I'm just going to bring out Lapras, and I'm going to reach this Surf and take out Marowak also, and that's a GG. Yeah, they couldn't really have thrown their discharge, even though they had it with Electrode, because they would have been farmed, but that, like, I guess, yeah, their only play was to farm down Sandslash and end with a discharge, although Lapras would survive a discharge from there anyway. So definitely a tough position for my opponent, even though they ended up kind of, yeah, just because they just didn't get the alignment that they needed. So, all right, Sandslash into Hypno. I've seen this matchup before. Hypno is a fairly common lead, and it seems like quite a decent number of them have been carrying Fire Punch. I would be shielding the first move regardless, so I managed to sneak in an extra Powder Snow there, which helps shield that Fire Punch. And I'm going to throw my next Ice Punch. So I threw the first one on alignment and threw the second one on alignment, and I have managed to deny both times. And now I'm throwing a third one, and I managed to deny here also. Or was this a CMP? This was a CMP. So I managed to deny two fast moves and sneak in one on my own, which is the only reason I was able to get to this before that Fire Punch came out. Normally the Hypno reaches the third Fire Punch before you get there. And I'm just going to throw this Ice Punch as soon as I have it, because at the end of this confusion, the Hypno would have it, and I feel like there was a decent chance he would just bank the Fire Punch and swap out, and I didn't really want to contend with that either. Yeah, so a Hitmonchan comes out and counters me down in, like, 2 counters. Wigglytuff's going to absorb the Ice Punch. My opponent switches out into a Shadow Lapras, and I'm going to switch in my own Shadow Lapras. So this is one of the times where it's very good to have Water Gun. This matchup seems to happen a lot, that you end up in a Lapras mirror. I don't know why it keeps happening to me. But I survived the Skull Bash, even though I have not, you know, boosted my defense, and he has boosted his defense. I'm going to throw this right before he gets to his Surf, like in the middle of his Ice Shard, and managed to take him out just because Water Gun puts on that much more fast move pressure. And I'm going to be able to charm down this Hitmonchan before it's able to reach a move, but I would have survived an Ice Punch, so he would have had to reach like the close combat or something. I assume that's what he was going for. And that's a GG. Next up against Weiserson, Sandslash into Nidoqueen. Haven't seen as many Nidoqueen in the lead as I would like to, because that is a fantastic lead for me. They're going to swap out, and if you have a Nidoqueen in the lead and they switch out, if you can possibly bring Wigglytuff in, do that. So bringing Wigglytuff in against Lickitung actually is the sensible move in any condition, or kind of regardless of the lead. Going to be able to survive 3 body slams, but just barely. Like, because this Lickitung is probably fairly XL, like, I'm able to sneak in a Charm. I might have been able to get away with no shielding. And farming the rest of the way down. Like, it would have been very, very close. I think I might have made it this time. Maybe it is just coming down to whether or not you sneak in Charms. Nidoqueen is going to come out, and I am going to spam out this Ice Beam. Thankfully, I was able to deny a move. If this was a non-Shadow Nidoqueen, I think I would actually have been able to reach another Ice Beam, but since this one is Shadow, it takes me out too fast. And I'm going to switch, and there's a Lapras in the back. And my Lapras is pretty good against opposing Lapras. This is in the 1 shield, so don't really seem to get baited with Surf very often. I used to bait Surf occasionally, but when it doesn't work, it's really, really bad. At the very least, if I throw the Skull Bash, then I can survive a Skull Bash from my opponent a lot more easily, and they actually no-shield, so good thing I did that. And I'm going to farm the whole way down. Not going to be able to throw this Surf before my opponent is going to reach their next Skull Bash, so I'm going to have to eat that, and that is okay with me. I just need to get this Surf out. The great thing about this is that it's also stalling for time, so I'm going to be able to switch out back into my Sand Slash. I'm going to throw this Ice Beam, this Ice Punch as soon as I've got it, because I worry that this Nidoqueen is going to get to their Earth Power too soon, and they reach it here, and at this point, Nidoqueen is already too low. Like, this Earth Power from a Shadow Nidoqueen will KO, but I'm just going to be able to Water Gun down because I still have leftover health on my Lapras, and that's a GG. All right, next up against True Athlete. Sandslash into Hypno. Very popular lead, has happened a lot of times in this video. So I felt like the game is being a little bit laggy. I don't know if anyone got any extra moves in or not. Looking at my health bar, it doesn't look like I've taken additional damage. I'm going to shield, and this one has Fire Punch also. Gonna throw my Ice Punch here in the middle of a confusion because since the game is being a little bit laggy feeling, I felt like if I tried to deny, it wouldn't have worked, and now the game is working smoother, so I do try to deny, and it does work. That's kind of have to make that judgment call in the moment every time. If the game is laggy, you're not going to be able to deny. So I'm going to shield this next Fire Punch also. And I am going to deny a confusion there, and I'm going to throw my Ice Punch here, and I get the last shield off of them also. So now I'm going to switch out because they were a little bit ahead, and I wasn't actually able to reach my next Ice Punch before they reached their Fire Punch. So catch that Fire Punch on Lapras, and now they're going to switch out into their own Lapras, but their Lapras has Ice Shard, so my Lapras is a little bit better in this situation. Even though I've taken a Fire Punch, because this is a non-Shadow Lapras, I'm going to survive the Skull Bash, and I'm going to be able to throw my own Skull Bash. I probably should have waited until I took another Ice Shard so that I wouldn't survive the extra Ice Shards, because after that defense drop, it does actually reduce the amount that Ice Shard does, so I survive an extra one, so my opponent gets a little bit more farm, which isn't really amazing for me. But I would definitely end up having to eat this Surf no matter what, and I'm going to be able to Charm the rest of the way down, even though I didn't manage to sneak in a Charm there, which was surprising to me when it happened, but I mean, it's not like I don't deny moves also. So there is a Nidoqueen in the back, which is fantastic, sort of. Not for Wigglytuff, but I mean, Sandslash is going to be able to wall that. I'm throwing an Ice Punch here just to be super safe. Like, I'm quite confident I could have finished Powder Snowing down, but I also know that if I just threw it there, I'd be safe, and, you know, just in case they had snuck in a confusion somewhere that I wasn't aware of. And yeah, I wasn't actually throwing a Bulldoze BM here. Bulldoze does slightly more damage than Ice Punch when both of them are super effective or when both of them are neutral. So since I was only going to be able to throw one move, I opted to just throw the Bulldoze because it does slightly more damage, so it kind of reduced the number of Powder Snows I would have to throw, forcing it prevented them from being able to farm all the way up to an Earth Power. Like, they were kind of forced to throw their Poison Fang, even though it wouldn't have done enough to take me out. And yeah, that's another 5 out of 5. So 10 in a row with this team. It is still a very, very strong team. Brings me up to number 90. I was fairly low before, like, relatively speaking. I had also tanked a little bit during Go Battle Night just to kind of get some sets in. But yeah, definitely can recommend this team for climbing. If you've run it before, it feels just as strong as it ever did, if not maybe just a little bit more so now. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to do the things you know you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. You know what you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. If you could please do the things, it would help me out a lot. I'll see you guys when I see you.